Hi, this is Emily Bindiger. I was Franny.
And this is Chris Gifford. I was Danny.
And this is Kenny Myles. I was Speed Reader.
And Kevin Clash, who performed Goriddle.
Hey, it's Goriddle! And you can hear us all on the Great Space Coaster Reunion on Just My Show, baby!
You're listening to Just My Show, your number one source for pop culture.
In just a few minutes, Fran, Danny, Speed Reader, and Goriddle Gorilla together in one conversation for the first time in 20 years. But first, joining me to kick things off is America's most famous no-gnews man, the host of the Gary Gnu Show himself, Gary Gnu. Hi, Gary.
Well, hello there, Eric, and how are you this morning?
I'm wonderful. We also have another great person here. We have Great Space Coaster puppeteer Jim Martin. Hi, Jim.
Hi, Eric. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for making time for us.
Oh, thanks for asking me to be on your show.
Gary, let me start with you. A lot of people remember the Great Space Coaster, but whenever someone doesn't, I just mention your name, and they know exactly who I'm talking about. How does it feel knowing that people remember you after all these years?
Well, Eric, I'm not quite sure what you mean by remembering me after all these years. After all, I'm still the greatest no-newscaster, and my show is still on every day at 9 in New York.
Gary Gnu, tell me once and for all, why do you hate GNU so much?
Oh, Eric, that's such a very strong word, and not a nice thing to say. I never hate anything. In fact, I love GNUs, but my product, my show, my career, my whole persona, if you will, has been built on GNUs, and that's what I stand on. GNUs is good GNUs.
The rest of the Great Space Coaster cast in just a minute.
www.justmyshow.com.
Let's start with the band. On the guitar, you know her as Fran, Emily Bindiger. On the drums.
Hi, Eric.
Hi, Emily. On the drums, Danny himself, Chris Gifford.
Woohoo!
Next up is Speed Reader in the house, Kenny Myles. Hey, Kenny.
Speed Reader's in the house.
And last but not least, the puppeteer and voice of Goriddle Gorilla, Kevin Clash. Hello, Kevin.
Hey, what's up?
When was the last time, it's been 20 years since the show went off the air, when was the last time you guys talked to each other?
20 years ago.
Oh, this show, for a children's show, has about as close to a cult following as a children's show can have. Why do you think that is?
You know, I think it was just such a wild premise, and I remember when we were auditioning for it, you just couldn't believe that they were putting this kind of crazy show together. The three, kids as they called us, all of us over 20, some of us older than 20, others. And
hey,
Emily is still 20.
Emily still looks 20. Going up to it, the premise is that three kids go up to an asteroid and are part of a band that interact with these puppets, and how they ever sold this concept. I'm in kids' TV now, and the idea that someone would come to me with this sort of premise now is just, you just never want to buy into it, and yet somehow it struck a chord and really succeeded with a lot of kids. I think it was just something that was in the air. I don't know.
It took me a little while. I'm sure that the other guys, especially Chris and Emily, being so visible on the show, experienced this a lot more than I did, because my character was only on once a week. But the impact that it had on little kids,
totally.
I would run into little kids. I ran into a little kid. I was going fishing one day, and I was on the subway, and it was like 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, and there was this little kid sitting with his mother, and I hadn't shaved, and I was just I looked horrible.
Yeah.
But this little kid was staring at me. And I kept looking at him, and finally I looked over, and his lips moved, and I saw him say, Speed Reader. And I smiled, and I went over to him, and I said, you watched the show? And his mom was beaming, just beaming. And I had a couple of other experiences with little kids. It was the first time in my life that I had really saw the impact of doing this kind of thing.
One of the first things that I produced at Nickelodeon as a producer, I was working with the New Kids on the Block, and in the middle of the interview, and it was really, this is when they were at the top of their game. In the middle of the interview, and we were interviewing Donnie Wahlberg and one of the other new kids. And he looks up and he says, behind the woman who's the interviewer, he looks up and he sees me standing behind the camera and he says, "Man, I know you. Who are you? I know you."
That happens to me all the time with people of a certain age, all the time.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
All the time. I mean, I talk to, because I work with, I do a lot of studio work. I sing in the studio all the time, and there's really no age range for that kind of thing. So I work with a lot of people that are in their 30s or late 20s even, and they look at me and they go, "I know I've met you before." And I go, "Well, how old are you?" And they tell me I'm 32. And I go, "Oh, well, maybe you watched this show when you were a kid." And they start freaking out on me and singing
that
just
song.
a
That song is
song.
Oh.
They sing the song and they go, "I love you. I totally love you."
Let me say one thing. When we, Emily and I and Ray, we had long auditions to get on this show.
That's right. Yeah.
And we really were. We were looking forward. They talked to us about how we're the stars of this new show, and it's all about these three kids. So we were all set to be in it. Then I'll tell you that we were there for the audition of Kevin, and we met Kevin for the first time. And actually, Kevin auditioned as an actor, not as a puppet. Not as he auditioned as an actor.
Yeah, that was a weird thing.
Yeah, it was weird, Kevin. But the three of us sort of saw the talent that you brought, and we're just like, "Well, shit, this isn't going to be our show." And then when we
got to the point, we hated the puppets. We hated the puppets because they were taking away our scenes.
Ray always told a very funny story. He once was like breaking down in tears because he just couldn't make his eyes go blinky, blinky, blinky like Goriddle did.
That's right.
We're well into this, and we haven't. It's been a while. Can you still do some Goriddle for us?
How you doing? It's Goriddle, baby.
Still got it.
Oh my God! Oh my God! I have it.
Bananas have a lot of appeal.
Well, that's funny. I haven't done that in 20 years. I didn't even. It took me a beat to figure out what the voice was.
I'm sure the other guys on the show would attest to this. The first time I sat down with Gary Gnu and I looked this puppet in the eye, and he started talking to me, I'm telling you, it was like sitting there talking to a person.
Yeah.
It was the most amazing thing I had ever seen in my life.
By the way, I should say, Jim Martin he was supposed to be here with this group. We had him on earlier because of a schedule conflict.
You're not going to ask me about Speed Reader?
Please.
Who was one of my favorite guests on my show.
Well, that's because he's going to be here too, and I'm sure he'll be happy to hear about that. Please, go on.
Speed Reader was wonderful. I mean, he gave us some, well, dare I say, good news about reading.
Really?
And that's very important.
Oh, Gary Gnu was great.
Gary Gnu
You got
real cult following. No Gnu,
No Gnu is good.
Do you guys want to go around and sort of catch everyone up as to what you guys are doing now? You want to start with Emily? You're still doing a lot of singing these days.
Well, I make a living singing, which is sort of a miracle in itself. I do a lot of studio work, a lot of jingles, movie soundtracks, stuff for people's records. I produce records. I do vocal arrangements. I'm in 2 a cappella groups.
Chris, you mentioned Nickelodeon came up before, but people might not know you created one of the creators of Dora the Explorer, which is you can't avoid it.
Went back to children's TV because that's where I felt most comfortable, and I basically went back to I became a receptionist at 321 Contact, and I remember Kevin was a big star at that point on Sesame Street, and he came down, and he came by the office to say hi. I'm the receptionist, and it was a little depressing. So I worked as hard as I could. I've been Dora has been an incredible experience.
And what most importantly, I think people want to know, what does Speed Reader read in real life? What's sitting on your nightstand right now?
Speed Reader. Where's the book? I can't find it. It's a book that my cousin sent me, and I can't remember the name of the author. But I just began it. So Speed Reader doesn't. Like you said, nobody reads as fast as Speed Reader, but we keep reading.
Kevin Clash, I'm just gonna let you tell you've done many characters. One I think in particular that you have to be living in a cave to not know. Tell us who you are.
I've been the main character I've been doing right now is Elmo on Sesame Street, and that's taken me all over the world. That's been a lot of fun.
Can we get you? I don't know if it might be expensive to get you to do this. Can we get a little Elmo quickly?
Oh yeah, for $2,000.
You better pay up, Eric.
I hope you guys don't think you're leaving without doing some singing for us, Emily and Chris.
Oh, really?
Can we get a little bit of the song? I won't make you do the whole thing. Can we get a little?
Wow. Oh boy. All right, Chris, you ready?
I don't want to force it. You want to start with your part, Emily?
Oh, what did I do anyway?
Get on board.
Get on board, step inside, roaring through a magic ride.
Roaring to the other side, where only rainbows hide.
Din, 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 din. Yeah, that's
the great space coaster. Emily, Chris, Kenny, Kevin, thank you so much for making time for this.
Thank you, Eric.
The Great Space Coaster Podcast, whatever that means. We'll be right back after these messages.
For more, go to www.justmyshow.com.